It was one of those hot Lagos mornings in the heart of a dusty Lagos street where Okada men shouted like town criers and neighbors fought over who stole whose slippers and pure water hawkers moved like wind. Two young men who had been jobless since the Tinubu era sat lazily outside an abandoned barber shop that now served as their unofficial headquarters, and while they ate groundnut without garri and stared into space like philosophers, something happened that changed their lives forever. They were not looking for trouble that day, but instead, trouble found them with gele and wrapper, because just beside the barber's shop, inside Mama Bumi's salon, 5 women were gathered under the hot dryer, and even though they were whispering, their gist was louder than generator sound. The boys didn't plan to eavesdrop, but once they heard Canada and marriage visa, their ears opened like DSTV dish and their eyes sharpened like FBI. One woman said, "Me, I don't mind marrying Oyibo, even if he's 75 years. Once I land UK, I go manage the old man until I collect passports." Another one replied, "Me, I no just get luck. My own boyfriend promised to take me to Germany, but after collecting my money, he japa with one nurse from Asaba." Another one added, "I've been on one dating site for 1 year now. The man I thought was serious said he's from Australia, but he keeps asking me to send recharge card for visa interview." At that point, Shaporo Benson, the sharper one of the two men, tapped his best friend Zebulon, aka Zebi, so hard and urgently. "Guy, you dey hear wetin I dey hear?" Zebi nodded slowly like a prophet in a trance and whispered, "Desperation dey this area oh, very serious one. Women dey ready to marry anything white, even if na non-living things." Shaporo looked at the saloon again, smiled like someone who just found an ATM inside Bible and said, "What if we give them what they want?" Zebi blinked in confusion. "Give who what?" Shaporo's eyes shone brightly. "Guy, what if we help these people japa by force, like marriage type now?" Zebi squinted at him. "You want open immigration office, abi your madness finally matured today?" But Shaporo, who always had a way of making madness sound like wisdom, didn't laugh. He leaned in and whispered, "It's not immigration office. Let's start a marriage bureau. We will connect Nigerians who want to japa with white husbands and white wives." Zebi blinked 3 times, looked around to see if EFCC was hiding behind them, and then he laughed so hard that he started coughing. "You serious? Where we want see the Oyibo now?" Shaporo waved his hand and said, "Forget real Oyibo, Google day, stock photo day, AI day. We go create fake profiles and give them what they want. Love mixed with visa, sugar with pepper soup. By the time we add small Indian accents and French background music, they go believe I'm die." Zebi held his chest and looked at the sky as if waiting for confirmation from the heavens. Then he said, "This na the most stupid idea I don hear for my life, but if you work oh." Shaporo leaned back and nodded like a proud prophet. "You see this Lagos, people no dey find love again oh, na visa dem wan marry. If we help them find Oyibo, dem go pay us, we go chop, dem go japa, everybody go win." Zebi scratched his head and asked that one question every broke guy must ask before entering wahala. "So, how much we go dey charge them?" Shaporo smiled and replied like a born scammer, "Small something like 250,000 naira for registration, then extra money if them want express Oyibo with gym body." And just like that, before the sun sets that same day, the two men brought out their old desktop computer from under the bed and dusted it. They then borrowed a generator from the video game center boy and went to print flyers at a nearby cyber cafe that said in bold red letters, "White Love International Marriage Bureau. Marry Oyibo today, get visa tomorrow." And they even added a fake slogan, real love, real passports, no delay. Within 24 hours, those flyers spread faster than gossip during compound meeting. One of the flyers entered a women's WhatsApp group titled Fruitful Wombs and Visa Prophecy. Another flyer landed on the table of a church usher. A third one was spotted in a salon toilet near the tissue roll, and before they could say immigration, women started calling them. Their first client was a woman named Sister Gloria, who said God had shown her a white husband with blue eyes and visa on his forehead, and she had kept herself pure for 10 years just to marry a man from Finland. Shaporo and Reby looked at each other and smiled because it was clear now that this their bureau business was not just a plan but a prophecy, and since God had already entered the matter, they had to move fast. Shaporo told her with a straight face, "Madam, Finland is our specialty." They quickly brought out a brown file filled with printed pictures of smiling white men they had downloaded from Google. Some of the men were holding coffee, some were wearing Christmas sweaters, and one was even hugging a dog. They told her, "Pick anyone you like, we'll start your process immediately. But first, sow your jackpot seed of 250,000 naira. Sister Gloria started crying tears of joy and removed money from her bosom and began speaking in tongues. That, my besties, was how White Love International Bureau opened its spiritual chapter. By afternoon, they had registered 3 more women. One who said she must marry a man that looks like Jason Statham. Another one said that she doesn't mind any Oyibo with pot belly as long as he has a US passport. And one that said she had suffered enough in this Nigeria, and even if a Chinese man proposes today, she would say yes before he even finishes the sentence. Reby created fake dating profiles with fake names like Henry from Houston and Jean-Pierre from Paris, and added plenty fake quotes like looking for a strong African woman to build an empire with. And when they showed the profiles to their clients, the women screamed like teenage girls watching K-drama. Business was booming, and even though they had no proper office, no AC and no certificates, by evening they already had 1.1 million naira in cash. They yawned and stretched tiredly because none of them had eaten since the day before, as they had been occupied with their billion-dollar business setup. That night, as they sat in a restaurant and ate 2 plates of starch and banga soup, Shaporo looked up at the moon and said, "Guy, we don't finally hammer this love buruna our way out of poverty." Reby laughed. "Na so, e dey risky sha. But until them catch us, we go continue." By the end of that week, they already had 7 clients, 3 new SIM cards, 1 banner, and 950,000 naira in a polythene bag under their bed. For weeks, their love and japa business was doing pretty well until one special customer walked in. The first time Awero Ajoke entered the office of White Love International Marriage Bureau, even the curtains shifted in fear, and the cockroach hiding under the fan carried its egg and relocated because her presence was like pepper and perfume mixed together. And as she walked in with her long eyelashes that looked like broomstick and her shoes that sounded louder than generator, the whole street paused for 1 second to ask, who released thunder for here? Her hips came in first, then her gold earrings, then her eyelashes, and finally her mouth, which started talking even before she entered fully. As she marched into the room like someone who came to arrest a thief, she looked at Shaporo and Reby and said, "Good morning. I want Oyibo husband, not just any Oyibo. I want correct Oyibo with pink lips, blue eyes, citizenship, and steady lights. If he no get passport, don't bother. If he no sabi chop pepper, I fit teach am. but if he poor, cancel am. I no want poverty again. Zeby blinked like someone who had just got slapped, while Shaporo coughed and said, madam, you are welcome. Please sit down, ma. Our international Oyinbo department is open. Just give us your spec and small commitment fee, and we go match you with your destiny helper from Germany, UK, India, anywhere you want, even Iceland if you no mind cold. But Awero didn't sit immediately. She adjusted her Ankara jumpsuit and raised her left eyebrow. See, make una no try me o. I no be mumu. I have been single since 2017, and all these useless Lagos boys keep wasting my time. One of them said he wanted to marry me, but he couldn't even afford suya for my birthday. So I am ready now. Let's do this thing sharp sharp. I get passport photo here sef. Then she brought out a big brown envelope from her bag and started removing documents like someone applying for scholarship, including her WAEC results, baptismal certificates, and even a medical report that said fit to travel and bear children. And as she slammed it on the table, Shaporo and Zeby looked at each other and silently confirmed what they were both thinking. This one na big wahala in Wigo. But since business is business and Awero had money to pay and mouth to scatter, they smiled and brought out the same brown file they had used for Sister Gloria and showed her pictures of random Oyinbo men they had downloaded from Google the night before. And as she flipped through, she frowned. This one look like he dey smoke Igbo. This one be like plumber. This one too fine. If it cheats. Wait oh, who be this one with Indian cap? She ain't get money. Shaporo peeped and said, that's Rajesh from Bangalore, tech guru, but he's currently doing cultural tourism in Nigeria for meditation and light enlightenment. Awero's eyes shone like someone who just saw cow meat in ogufe soup, and she said, "If fine, I go manage this one. India sef dey okay as long as he go carry me comot for this Nigeria." Zeby swallowed hard and tapped Shaporo's leg under the table because Rajesh was not a tech guru or cultural anything. He was actually Pradeep, the janitor that cleaned the back of UBA Bank, and sometimes he bought puff from Zeby's cousin, and he had once begged Shaporo for 500 naira to buy cough syrup, but they smiled, told her the process was already ongoing and she should come back the next day to meet her future husband on Zoom. Awero stood up with confidence like someone who had just collected her wedding ring and said, "No wahala, I go wear gown come tomorrow. I know they joke with my future. I go start the practice Indian dance safe. My enemies go cry." And as she walked out swinging her handbag like it owed her money, Zeby fell into the plastic chair and shouted, "We don't enter wahala o." Shaporo didn't reply immediately because he was sweating and scratching his ear, but finally he said, "Omo, this babe no dey use break talk at all. Na matchstick and petrol she carry come here, and na Pradeep of all people we take match her. Wahala." The both of them stayed quiet for some seconds before Shaporo finally stood up and declared, "We no go die poor. We go plan am well with Pradeep. We go teach am wetin to say. We go train Awero too. We go give her Indian accent if e need. We must repackage them both. This marriage bureau must succeed, even if Bollywood hears about it." Zeby groaned and said, "No be love bureau we open o, na bureau of wahala and confusion. But let's do it. If we die, at least we die as patriots." By the next morning, before the streets even woke up properly, before akara sellers finished grinding their beans, and before NEPA brought lights that would soon go off again, Shaporo and Zeby had already dragged their plastic chairs outside and were sitting with swollen eyes, not because they didn't sleep, but because they had spent the whole night thinking of how to convince Pradeep, the most unserious janitor in the history of janitors, to pretend to be an Indian tech guru for a girl like Awero, who could scatter everywhere just by raising one eyebrow. Now, Pradeep was not a bad person at all. In fact, he was very kind and very humble. But the problem was that he was also very broke, very confused, and worst of all, he had started to lose his Indian touch. He even spoke Yoruba better than some Yoruba people because he had been living in Nigeria for 6 years and had once dated a lady from Ijebu who taught him how to eat ikokore and abuse bus conductors. So, when the boys finally found him behind the bank that morning, carrying his mop and singing Jerusalem softly, they wasted no time. Shapuro greeted him in fake Indian accents. Namaste, my brother. We bring you opportunity. Big opportunity. Like big rice. Pradeep stopped and squinted at him. Shapuro, why they talk like this? Wetin happened to your mouth? Zebi jumped in, clapped his hands like a politician and said, Pradeep, you want japa, abi you no want japa again? Immediately, Pradeep dropped his mop and held his chest. I won't go. Please take me back to my country. My mama say if I no come back this year, say she go forget say she born me. Shapuro smiled and rubbed his palms together. Then, listen carefully. We have a client, a Nigerian woman. She wants to marry Oyibo to Japa, but we matched her with you. You are the Oyibo. Pradeep's eyes widened like satellite dish and he screamed, Me, Oyibo? Have you lost your senses? Do I look like Brad Pitt? I am from Ibadan. Zebi pulled him closer. See, it's just for pretend, small marriage, fake love, small photos, and boom, we help her go abroad and we help you too. You go back to Indian with story. Everybody win. We go give you 50,000 naira. Pradeep scratched his head, looked at his mop, looked at his palm and sighed. Will I have to kiss her? Shapuro nodded slowly. Just one kiss, maybe two, but small one. Pradeep fainted on the mop stick. They poured sachet water on his face until he opened his eyes again. And finally, after small persuasion and after they added 1,000 naira to his deal, he stood up and said, Okay, but if this girl breaks my head, I will send my cousin from Punjab to arrest you. And that was how the chaos began. Back at the marriage bureau, they cleared one corner of the shop and declared it relationship rehearsal arena. And that was where they began the most foolish romantic training ever attempted by broke people in Lagos. First, they told Pradeep to smile with confidence like an Oyibo man looking for love. But instead, he smiled like someone just told him NEPA would never bring light back. Then they gave him a script that said things like, Hello baby, you are my African goddess. I love you like basmati rice. Your beauty is brighter than the Wali festival lights. I want to carry you to Mumbai. My mother will like you. He said all these things with his heart, but with the wrong accent, and Shapuro screamed, No nah, sure you no be Indian man again. Stop sounding like a tired tomato seller. Put accents inside this thing. Meanwhile, Awero was preparing on her own side like a bride that got admission into Bollywood, because when she returned to the bureau the next day for her introduction with her husband, she came wearing a full sari wrapper that she bought from Balogun Market with gele tied on top, bangles in both hands, henna drawn with biro, and she brought 3 different perfumes because she wasn't sure if Indians liked flowery scents or peppery scents. She sat down, crossed her legs, and smiled like a princess. I am ready for my destiny. But the moment Awero laid her suspicious eyes on Pradeep, aka Rajesh. Something in her spirit started shouting, "It be like say I know this man," but she ignored it because desperation and makeup could blind even the sharpest Lagos girl. She looked him up and down, from his borrowed white shirt to the wrapper turned turban on his head, squinted and asked slowly like someone interrogating a criminal, "Sorry, is this Rajesh or Rashidi?" Pradeep smiled nervously like someone about to be flogged in public and replied in an accent that sounded like India, Ghana and Oshodi had a car accident inside his throat. "Yes, my love, I am Rajesh, your future husband and Corey of your heart." Awero's eyes sharpened like cutlass and she tilted her head like a goat about to charge. "You are not the man I saw in the photo. This one no get pink lips. This one they smell like engine oil. Wait oh, this one resembled the man I saw washing toilets in UBA Bank last week." Reby quickly jumped in like a bouncer trying to block a flying chair. Sister Wero, no vex. That should be his twin brother, Paramesh. They look alike, very confusing DNA. But this one na original Rajesh from Bangalore, tech man. Awero blinked slowly like a loading screen, crossed her legs the other way and said, "Okay now, but if I find out that this is fake, I will pour groundnut oil inside your generator and fry it on fire." Pradeep cleared his throat and began the introduction speech they had forced him to memorize at 2 a.m. "Hello baby, my name is Rajesh Kumar Krishna from Bangalore. I want to love you like mango chutney and carry you to my mama in Mumbai. I like your gele. It is curry full." Shaporo, who was watching from the corner, covered his face in shame, but surprisingly, Awero smiled sheepishly and said, "Oh, you like my gele? It's from Balogun Indian collection, original velvet Ankara with Bombay twist." Then she stood up and said, "Let's test our connection. Let's go on our first date. I need to know if our spirits match." Reby and Shaporo nearly collapsed because they had not planned for any restaurant. They quickly lied and said, "No problem. Rajesh only eats spiritually significant food, so we'll go to a vegetarian amala spot, very symbolic for his cultural enlightenment." So they took them both to Mama Wura's Amala and Yoga Palace, a buka where the walls were decorated with WhatsApp stickers. They placed the lovebirds on a bench, gave them 2 plates of amala, and added ogufe, praying silently that Awero would not ask too many questions. Awero took one bite and said, "Rajesh, try it now. It's made with love." Pradeep poked the amala as if it was moving. Then slowly, he tasted it and screamed, "Ayo! My mouth is burning. My tongue is dying. This is not food. This is chemical weapon." He jumped up and started fanning his mouth, and the entire buka turned to look at him. And Mama Wura even shouted from the back, "If you know sabi chop pepper, go back to your country." Awero stood up sharply and dragged him outside. "You don't like my culture? You say you love me, but you hate amala. How will you love my people then? How will you love our future children?" Pradeep held his chest and replied, "I no hate you. I love you. But your pepper na fire of Shango." Awero hissed and turned around while adjusting her gele like a military cap. "You better adjust your destiny, Rajesh, because me, I cannot go to India and be eating boiled rice without crayfish. That one is punishment." However, what she didn't know was that Rajesh was an amala lover. He was only pretending just so that she doesn't suspect anything. Back at the shop, Shaporo and Reby were sweating like boiled yam as they watched them return from the date, both looking like they had just survived a natural disaster. When Awero walked in, she removed her shoes, dropped her bag and said, "I need him to undergo training. Indian man or not, he must eat pepper. If I go to India, I am taking Cameroon pepper with me." Then she pointed her acrylic finger at Pradeep and said, "From tomorrow, I want you to know 3 Yoruba proverbs. Eat suya without crying and learn how to say mo like without sounding like generator." Pradeep collapsed onto the chair and whispered, "My mother will cry." But before he could even get up, Awero added, "And we must take engagement pictures tomorrow. If I don't post us by weekend, my enemies will win." Reby pulled Shaporo to the side and whispered, "This Awero na strong woman. She don't turn fake marriage into NYSC." Shaporo nodded with fear. "And if we no act fast, we fit enter prison like this, so." Well, that was none of Awero's business because by the next 2 mornings, Lagos was already boiling. Not just with sun or traffic or the normal wahala, but with rumors, filters and Instagram fire because Awero, aka Were Goddess, had dropped her first pre-wedding teaser post at exactly 6 a.m. with a caption that shook the city. "He flew from India for me. I prayed, fasted, sowed seed, and my curry finally arrived. Don't settle for less, ladies. Hashtag international love. Hashtag Oyibo of my life. Hashtag Japa loading." Ring emoji and Indian flag emoji. The picture she had uploaded was that of a confused Pradeep standing behind her in oversized agbada, holding one rose, while she knelt in full gele and held his leg as if she was proposing to him. Before 10 a.m. that morning, the post had already gotten 2,846 likes, 302 comments, and 2 hair vendors had even asked her to tag them for free wig partnership. Reby and Shaporo were screaming in their shop like mad people high on dry gin, jumping from bench to bench and doing imaginary high fives because their fake marriage bureau was already trending and potential clients were already calling them from all over Lagos, Abuja, and even one woman in Cotonou said she was Japa curious. But while they were dancing, Pradeep was inside the toilet sweating and shaking. "This one no be marriage, you. This one is prison. How did I enter this thing?" However, Awero was not slowing down at all. By noon, she had posted their date video where she was feeding him jollof rice and he was smiling. She captioned it, "He said, if you love me, burn my tongue with love. So I did." Hashtag spicy love challenge. People were reposting it everywhere. Facebook aunties were praying over it. TikTok girls were crying over it. And somebody even edited the video with Bollywood music and turned it into a love meme. But inside the fake bureau, panic was slowly rising like baking yeast because Shaporo had just gotten a call from one real Indian NGO that said they wanted to feature Rajesh in a Love Across Borders documentary on YouTube, and they were asking for official documents, love letters, and visa plans. Shaporo dropped the phone and screamed, "We don't enter international problem. This lie don't dey trend pass us." But the real fire was still cooking and they didn't know it yet. Somewhere in Mushi, one blogger girl who used to date Pradeep when he was still chasing small girls with cold sachet water had just seen the viral post and shouted in anger, "This man dumped me to marry Yoruba celebrity. I go scatter this thing with my bare hands." Her name was Kiki Baby Hair and her eyes were already red with fire. She had receipts, pictures, old texts, and even a video of Pradeep singing "You Are My Tomato Sauce" to her on her birthday. Unfortunately, she was not the only weapon fashioned against this marriage, because while Awero was busy planning wedding colors with captions like "Do I go with steel and turmeric or burgundy and gold? I am now an Indian wife, help me decide," another person was plotting to scatter everything, and that person was her mother, Mama Alagbo. She had been quiet for days because she was still digesting the shock that her own daughter, who once failed NECO, was now preparing to marry a foreigner and fly to a land where they eat with stick and don't believe in pepper. So she decided to do what every Nigerian mothers do best when confused. She went to her prayer group, and during the prayer session, as they were clapping and shouting, one woman stood up with a prophecy. "I see water, I see pepper, I see fake documents. This union is cooked, but not with the Holy Spirit." Mama Alagbo was shocked. When she got home, she sat quietly on her bed, removed her scarf, and told herself, "Let me investigate this so-called Rajesh. Something in my spirit is not peaceful, and I did not suffer to raise a fine girl for a scam masquerading as husband." So, while Awero was posting another photo of her and Rajesh wearing matching Ankara and Bindi, Mama Alagbo quietly went to the back of the bank where the rumor was brewing. She asked the security man if he knew one Indian tech guru that looked like Puff Puff. The man scratched his head and said, "Ah, you mean Pradeep, the mop guy? He dey work toilet shift today. Check after 2 p.m. Mama Alagbo tied her wrapper tightly and walked away with a small evil smile dancing on her lips. At 6:52 p.m., while Shaporo and Zebi were eating puff puff and planning phase 2 wedding package, a new WhatsApp message landed in Awero's phone. It was from an unknown number, and it read, "Ask your fiancé where he was on January 12th. Ask him who Kiki Baby Hair is, and ask him why his name is Pradeep, not Rajesh. Or should I post the video first?" Awero read it and froze. Then slowly, she turned and looked at Rajesh, who was busy using cotton bud in his ear and singing "Baby, calm down" off key. She stood up slowly and whispered, "Rajesh, or is it Pradeep?" What will Awero do now that her Japa love is shaking and uncertain? Will she tear her Indian husband apart, or will she go ahead with the marriage? Will Shaporo and Zebi be able to escape from this mess? Stay tuned to find out in part 2. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. Share the story out with your loved ones and give the story a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring the next part your way. Bye!